Recording button. Okay. Hello, Umi.
Hello, Joanne.
Hi, Umi. It's me, Joanne, and we're back again, you and me, at the final installment of the Trash Treasure podcast. And this will be a very nice wrap-up session because
Yep.
what a residency it's been. It has
Yeah.
been 5 months of intense planning and working together from different sides of the world, bringing artists together, and we've had our exhibition, yours in the UK and
Completed.
mine
Yep.
here in Malaysia, and that's done. And then here we are. We're doing this. We're doing a story recording for the British Council.
Yeah, I think definitely not going to be our last because
Definitely.
it's kind of interesting. We can share our thoughts and our process and yeah, kind of enjoy the experience. Yeah, getting to know with other artists as well.
How do you feel
Really.
after having completed the exhibition and we're now
Um,
at the end? How do you feel about it?
of course, I feel relieved. At the same time, I wish it's should be longer. I
Right.
just
I
love
know.
I love the experience, and I wish we could also exchange our artwork. Like
Yes.
our exhibition here in the UK, and then send over, or maybe have a same space, same time, have 8 of us meet up all together in one space and
Yeah.
get together.
Yeah, I really wish that we could all be together. I think that's one thing that, and I think we might be jumping a little bit ahead of the whole conversation, but I feel like if there's anything that this residency has taught me is that as good as it is for a virtual event and for things to happen online, nothing beats a physical experience. Don't you agree?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
It gives a different vibe altogether entirely, isn't
definitely.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, and being able to meet and talk and share your artwork in person to other people and to meet the artist in person, really,
Mm, mm,
that you cannot replace that experience with
mm,
anything
mm,
that's online.
mm.
Okay, but then
But having said that, I also
sure.
feel that this kind of experience is unique.
Mm-hmm.
It's unique on its own way because I've never seen. I mean, not that I know, not that I'm aware of. I've never come across with this kind of exchange program. And we exhibited materials from our counterpart, and we have to exhibit it here. So I find it kind of interesting, intriguing, and it's unique
Yep.
on its own. Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
So
At the very least, if we didn't manage to meet up, a part of Malaysia is over there with you, and a part of the UK was here with us
mm,
in Malaysia, which I thought was quite nice.
yeah.
But let's circle back a bit. Let's go back to a bit of the beginning and talk about go down memory lane, I suppose, and
Yeah.
we'll go back to at the beginning of how we met each other or how we met up with and started talking about
Mm,
working together to apply to this connections through culture grant.
yeah.
um, do you remember what that was like? It's because for me, I remember seeing the call for grant applications by the British Council, and my
Mm,
first thought was to immediately look out for my contacts in the UK, and you
mm,
were right up there on the list because I knew that you were actively practicing in the UK, and I thought that it would be interesting to see how we could
mm,
work together. And
mm.
during our early conversations, you also mentioned that you've heard of the grant and you were keen to apply to it. Was that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I follow up closely. Even the first year when I did my master, it was back in 2019, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a browse, and I do follow up with the British Council because they've actually given few grant during that time. But I thought maybe I should just focus with my MA because I don't think I can multitask and, you know, run two things at one time. But right after my master, I've completed my master, and I thought, yeah, this is the next step that I should be doing. Look out for grant, extend my networking, get to meet the local artist, as well as gain more exposure in terms of what I do and what I explored during my MA. So with the opportunity that you actually came to me and approached me, and I feel like that's it. Let's do this. It's just
Yep.
right on time, right at its place, and we do talk about the theme and what
Yep.
are we going to do. And somehow or other along the way we found the
That middle
uh,
ground, right? Or
yeah,
that
yeah,
sweet
the
spot, I
ground.
think. I'm
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, give me a moment. I actually want to look for my here we go. So I've got my notebook in front of me here, and um I think in the notebook it has some notes about the
Mm-hmm,
beginning
mm-hmm,
of our
mm-hmm,
first discussions, because I remember when we first met up online and had our first Zoom session together, we were, bouncing ideas off one another
yeah.
and just thinking about, where do our practices overlap, because we wanted something that could benefit both of us equally, right?
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
being a natural dyer, and you were exploring turning kitchen waste into dyes. Is that correct? Was
Mm-hmm,
that was what you were working on at the time, right? And now as well.
yeah, yeah. Well, my initial idea was explore the batik making.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to transform the block into by using like recycled material.
Mm-hmm.
But then, because of the lockdown, we had to go through the phase of the first phase lockdown in the UK, and I was forced to work on my MA at home.
Yep.
So in a way, I found a new approach of how do I, uh, come up with this concept of still working in a sustainability angle,
Mm-hmm.
but using my own resources. So kitchen waste was the topic, and I was glad because CTC, the grant given by the CTC, mainly they have this segment, or what do I call
Like
that? Like
categories,
segments?
didn't they?
Yeah, the
And one of the
category.
categories was eco
Yes,
sustainability. Yep.
sustainability angle. So it's just right. I was happy to have that topic to cover that topic,
Mm-hmm.
but also I was a bit, a bit skeptical whether we are doing a collaboration here. We are doing like an exchange program here. Whether can you also meet the same meeting point? Whether you get the concept of what I'm trying to do. So that was the thing. We um, a little bit of time to
Mm-hmm.
actually digest and research further.
Yep.
So we ourselves, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 2 weeks or 3 weeks
Yeah,
to just,
I
you
think
know,
we started the
yeah.
conversation a lot earlier than the
Mm,
begin, definitely a lot earlier in the year. And then we also gave
mm,
ourselves time to go back to the drawing board and to just, think back about the things that we were
yeah,
interested in exploring,
yeah.
and then finally coming to this idea of exchanging materials with one another. It wasn't trash at first, was it? It was
No,
initially the idea of you sending me some of the dyes that you've made, and just to see what I could come up with as an artist.
true.
And
Yeah.
then that expanded into, what if we used trash, or what if we
Mm-hmm,
collected rubbish from our art practice and exchanged it with
mm-hmm,
one another.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and and I think at the beginning
Excuse me.
we were thinking about just um keeping it to just the both of us, the exchange to
Yeah,
happen between
yeah,
you and I.
yeah.
And then, at some point we decided, why have just two of us when we can try and invite more people into the conversation.
Collective, yeah. And also it's because it ties back to the current situation, the current issue that we are having here in UK as well as in Malaysia, the waste during the pandemic.
Yep.
In UK, we were talking about the toilet roll, and people were having this
Hoarding.
panic
Panic
buying,
buying.
and the amount of waste that we produce in a household is massive. So that kind of conversation we were talking about,
Yep.
and what can we do as an artist or as an crafters, and how do we spark conversation related to this topic. So I think moving on, then we develop the ideation and we improvise the idea.
Yeah, I think what was nice as well with this topic of using trash as a conversation starter was also how it tied back to the connections through culture grant, and really talking about how trash as something that unifies nations, and also using it as, you know, we did talk about things that were perhaps a little bit negative, in a sense that, you know, how much rubbish that we accumulate or how much rubbish that we've made. But then on the flip side, we've also managed to exchange cultural ideas with one another, and you're sharing things about how we drink tea, for example, or what kind of red packets or what kind of money packets we use for festive occasions. And interestingly enough, something that is negative has also a positive impact, in that we were able to share differences and similarities of our cultures together.
True.
Using rubbish. So I thought that was quite nice of how this residency managed to connect these two aspects. Yeah. You know, can you remember you know, what was your thoughts when we decided to invite the artists? Did you already have a few artists in mind? Because I know I did, but I want to hear from you.
So, to be honest, I struggle because I experienced my university, my MA indoor in my house.
I know.
And I only managed to make friends with the local artists, with my university colleague for 3 months and a half, and that's about it. And everybody went back to their own place, and we just, you know, didn't manage to get in touch. We only get to see each other during a Zoom call, where it's only like 20 minutes session in the university. So I was a little bit frustrated, because the reason why I go all the way and experience a different I wanted to see the different perspective as a natural dyer coming from Malaysia, and to see how the different part of the world explore their colors. But yeah, unfortunately, I can't experience that. But in a way, there's blessing in disguise, where I get to meet people around the world, having a Zoom call and meet people in bigger contexts. Like I've got to meet people from the US, from the Canada, from Italy, and different part of the world. And with this kind of residency, I had so many options in the first place. I wanted to actually engage with natural dyers from different states. But I thought maybe I should just keep my network small first, because I haven't got the time to make friends with the local artists in Norwich.
Right.
So I made a list, and it was a very short list. I struggled to find to see who would be the best artists to be part of this residency. And I thought at that time, that's where I actually learned from you, because your kind of approach is totally contrast, is totally opposite than my approach.
Right.
I was looking for the artist who actually has the similar background in the sustainability context.
Mm-hmm.
So Caroline, for example, she does a lot of embroidery, textile, and she worked with um, dried grass pea. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a sustainable thing. Like she worked with the local community, getting
Mm-hmm.
all these waste agricultural materials and work with it.
Mm-hmm.
And and then we had a discussion. So you gave your point where you said we should, your approach is to gather an artist that has nothing to do with
Yeah.
sustainability approach.
Mm-hmm.
And it triggers me like, yeah, I should have think about that.
Mm-hmm.
We should gather artists who never explore this context, rather than they are quite familiar with the ethical process. And then I expand my scope. I went out to the city, go around, um, went for a few galleries, exhibitions, and make contact with them, not knowing them.
Yep.
I just got their email, approached them, emailed them, proposed them about this residency, whether they be interested or not. And surprisingly, everyone who I actually approached, they love the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, Genevieve, I didn't know her in the first place. I get to know her from a local exhibition. She was running pop-up uh, show, showcase type print. And later after that, I contacted her, and then she said yes. and and um, uh, I get to know her, just a quick meetup in Malaysia for a 1 day or two. I get to meet her in Terengganu, and then she decided to go back to London, and I contacted her. She said yes as well.
Mm.
So it's kind of interesting. My selection, in a way, I don't really decide and plan, but it's just come naturally. So I've got
Yep.
various selection coming from film making artists to photographers.
Yep.
um yeah, so that's how I can share a little bit coming from my part.
Mm-hmm. And I
Yeah, so
love
what
that.
what were you?
Yeah, I love the fact that you brought people who were also knowledgeable in the eco sustainability,
Yeah,
or people who were who were a lot more sensitive to eco
yeah,
sustainable practices, because I
yeah.
felt like, as the residency progressed, that was where we were able to share and learn a lot more
Mm,
from one another.
mm,
and
mm,
and you're right, because when I wanted to choose the artists, I had the idea of, why would we limit ourselves to those who are already very well versed with it,
yeah.
when the sole purpose, or when one of the purpose is to, invite more artists into the conversation of, having a
Mm,
more sustainable art practice,
mm, mm,
which is why I thought, what would happen if we brought someone from a digital background and gave him,
mm,
physical materials to work with. And that's when I thought about Shake, who
mm,
works as a multidisciplinary digital
mm,
artist, and his niche is in projection mapping. So most
mm,
of his work, if not all of his work, is completely digital, and it's all on
mhm,
screen. And
mm,
I asked him, because my network for digital artists is quite limited. So I asked him, like, do you have someone else that you could nominate? Do you have another digital artist that might be interested in this project? And then that was how he recommended me to KC, who
mm,
is a new media artist. So again, somebody who works very digitally, or who works in
yeah,
3D fabrication,
mm,
and may generate a lot of waste, but not really know what to do with it, or maybe not really thought about what he can do with it. So yeah, I
yeah,
thought, okay, this will be quite a good fit. And
yeah,
then Faridza, which was quite like a wild card really, because I
Oh,
saw
all right.
her illustration work on Instagram, and we've had you know, one or two conversations through messaging on Instagram, you know, looking at each other's work, following what we've been working on and stuff. And then I just liked her childlike style in illustration, and I just wondered, you know, how would she interpret this brief, this idea of
Yeah.
using
Yeah.
rubbish as a material. So I reached out to her on DM again. You know, this is like essentially messaging a stranger, someone I've never
Yeah.
met, and
Yeah.
just saying, you know, hey, would you like to join this thing that I'm planning with someone in the UK? And
Yeah.
she, and thankfully she said yes. She said yes,
Oh,
and
okay. Okay.
okay, okay,
Did you
cool.
actually approach before? Like, did you text her
No,
at
I've
you know,
You
contact
know, I've never met
before
her.
that?
I actually never knew her name. I
Yeah.
always knew her
Yeah. Right.
as Timmy Timmy Tonga, which is her Instagram handle. So it wasn't
Okay.
until, you know, she said yes, and then we got to communicating, and then meeting her on Zoom at first, before I found out that she was, you know, Faridza Aslina, who is also a
Producer.
filmmaker, a producer, a
Mm.
screenwriter, and a filmmaker, but also
Yeah.
an artist in the past. So I thought,
Yeah.
wow, that's great. You know, now we have a whole mixed bag of artists, and we're all
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
spend the next few months, you know, turning
Mm.
some trash
Mm.
into
Mm.
art.
It's kind of amazing the way, I mean, I cannot ask for more. Eight of us have a different background.
Yep.
And like I said, Genevieve, when I approached her, I only see her artwork. She was showcasing her cyanotype
Mm-hmm.
print.
Mm-hmm.
But we made um, the next day when I actually emailed her that night, and then the next day she said, "Okay, let's meet over coffee or something like a tea. Like let's have a short, quick meet up." And she actually uh, she's a community artist, and she's involved with the community in Great Yarmouth. It's like 45 minutes drive from Norwich City, and turns out to be she's been working with the community, and she's very active, handling the COP, the COP26
Mm-hmm.
within her community, within her you know uh, network.
Yep.
And turns out I thought, okay, Genevieve, I think I should learn more from coming from you because you've been doing this for quite a while.
Absolutely.
And yeah, she actually share and tell me and actually connect me with the rest of other artists,
Mm-hmm.
her friend. So in a way, without I didn't really plan for this, but somehow or rather this kind of connection has extended my networking.
Which was your
Um,
intention at the beginning when applying
yeah,
for the grant.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's beautiful. Mm-hmm.
So everything is just in line. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. I
everything works well.
could not
Yeah.
have asked for something better, I think. Yeah. You know, do you think it was difficult that, you know, I think that beginning, that initial stage of reaching
Mm.
out to someone that you've never met, you know, that
Oh.
was barrier number one. But then after that, when they've said yes, and then we, you know, we applied to the grant, we received the grant, like, okay, like let's get them all on board and
Mm-hmm,
let the residents
mm-hmm,
commence.
mm-hmm.
There was a lot of trust building as well, right? Which I think
Yes.
was tricky for us at the beginning, because, you know, we
Yeah.
haven't met each other in person
No.
yet, right? You haven't met
Mm.
so have you have met some of them in person, but you haven't actually met up all as a group or anything.
Yeah.
And from my end, I haven't met Faridza or Casey ever in person, so I had no
Mm.
idea what to expect. Did you feel like it was hard to build trust with one another, or what kind of
Well,
thing did you have to take?
it is. It's always a risk, you know.
Mm,
Sometimes you just got to trust your guts
mm-hmm,
because it's more like instinct, I would say. Like,
mm,
but meeting with artists, somehow I feel there's a topic that we can relate to.
right.
So my key points, the way I approach the UK artist was I was speaking about the recent issue about the UK sent over the trash to Malaysia, and all of them actually aware with the issues and with the news happening back in 2020, and so they feel very strong about it. And and then the next steps I did was, what if we as an artist exchange the trash? And I saw their face like, oh, okay, what do you mean exchange trash? Yeah, I mean, like, although trash is it's a common thing, we might not that trash. If we go deeper, there's a lot of uniqueness of the trash. There's character to the trash. There's identity you can create within the trash. The narrative that you explore within the trash, and they like see the face like,
Yeah.
I would love to try that, but not knowing what's the challenge, what's the difficulty they might be having in next. So they actually bought the idea and they really loved the idea, and straight away they say yes. Only after that we exchange information. So anyway, what do you do, Umi, or what do you do, Genevieve? So then we share our background. So that's how I actually approach my artist. And I thought, okay, it's gonna be if I make it bad and make it really bad, if I make it good, then I'll be really good. So it's always being good. And that's, meeting artists, I feel that we have that similarity. So I don't feel the trust issue, there's no problem with it. But to get the bonding, that's where we have the online call, the Zoom call,
and I think that's
we
where
exchange
like the communication was so important, right? I really feel that being able to communicate openly with one another, especially like during our Zoom meetings, being able to be open to critique and open to sharing, and having a space where you're able to share without fear of being criticized or judged.
True.
And I think that was maybe key to building that trust, I think.
Trust. And we actually set every 2 weeks we have a conversation. It's not about sharing our process, but we talk about in general context about the issues, about what's going on with the current situation, and we share information. So I think
things.
So it's not really like like I'll be residency, so what, tell me to do. We are not really rigid, but we create the relationship first, we bonding first, we create the connection first. Then at 3 weeks or the 4th only, then we decide, all right, what kind of trash that you think that you might be picking up or collecting. And then from there we work on the residencies requirement.
I think it was also, I think another thing that was important also was having established very clear boundaries with one another, which I think both you and I, Rumi, I think we did that quite well from the start to the end, being able to be very honest with how much time we could put into this project, and also to say, how much you can do and how much I can do, and then finding that middle ground and compromise between each other. I think that was very important to make things happen, right? And likewise for when we were, speaking with or communicating that with the artists as well. I feel like there's also that trickle down effect, being able to be very clear to them what needs to be done, and even during the process of collecting the materials, what sort of things we would like from you to collect, and because we're shipping it to one another, what kind of restrictions there are. And while those were restrictions because of shipping and because of the international laws, it also became almost like a fence around the playing field. It gave all the artists some room for creativity and to be quite creative about what they picked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I think that that openness to share with one another, not
Mm,
just for the sake of the residency, but also to share things that the artists were very interested about.
mm,
Um,
mm,
for example, like Caroline was just really sharing all the information about the crisp packets and what she did with it. And Shake and Casey were very generous in sharing how they do projection mapping and how they did the microscope scanning. Okay, we can talk about that later, or the listeners can find out more if they look up the work that we've done during the
mm.
residency. But I think what I'm trying to say is that everyone was very generous with their time and also generous in sharing their knowledge.
Yeah.
No one was holding anything close to them, and they were very eager to share with one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And along the way, I think, I mean, being two of us, we also didn't actually decide or determine what kind of trash they
Mm.
were supposed to collect.
Mm-hmm.
But halfway through, with the questions coming from them,
Mm-hmm.
helped us to narrow down
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
yeah, and actually think, how do we send all these materials
Mm-hmm.
to Malaysia or to UK? And we actually made the context of collecting trash in a bigger scope.
Yep.
But along the way, during this residency, um, I can see everybody starts to narrow down,
There was a bit
and
of a
we
narrow
were,
down.
yeah, we
Yeah.
actually narrowed down the collections, and we were thinking about, do not go too big.
Yep.
If you realize that, and we sort of decide to only explore our household
Mm-hmm.
trashes or household waste, which is good, because I was everywhere. I was exploring my collection coming from my house, my kitchen, and to the extent of going to the beach, to the river, to the park,
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, and I collected almost everywhere that I
Yep.
can. But um, what I also learned, that sometimes you don't have to go further. It's always just right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then slowly the group actually narrowed down our trash selections, and then we get to see a different kind of collections that everybody had at the end
Definitely.
of the, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So it's kind of interesting to see.
Did
And yeah,
Yep.
different, if you realize, different artists, they do have a different trash. They're
They
not
were
similar.
interested.
They're
Yeah,
not
they were very
similar.
interested
Yeah,
in different things. I think
yeah.
it really showed how diverse the artists were in
Mm,
their disciplines. They were also just as diverse in what they were interested in collecting.
mm,
So yeah, and
mm.
some of them I think were very site. I think you were quite site specific, that in that you were collecting rubbish from various parts of the UK,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
just in Norwich but also in London and in Great Yarmouth.
yeah.
And then Shake was collecting beach plastic at Feringhi in Penang. And then Faridza was really just picking up bits and pieces from all over her house. And
Yeah.
then that same habit, interestingly enough, reflected back in when the UK materials arrived, because she started taking a little bit from everybody as well. So she gave a little
Mm.
bit of everything, and she took a little bit of everything. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
quite interesting. And then for Shaki and Casey, they were quite specific in what sort of materials they wanted.
Mm.
And then
Okay.
yeah, and then Casey himself, having all that 3D printed plastics from
All
his
right.
workshop, he collected all that and sent it over. Yeah, in some ways, the materials that were collected reflected the artists themselves. I think that says quite a
Yeah.
lot as well, right?
I think during the trash exchange, we had a slightly different approach to distributing the trash,
Yep.
because on my side, from the UK side, because we are not coming from the same city. Like
Sure.
Hannah is coming from London, Genevieve from Great Yarmouth, Caroline is coming from Dees, which takes about 30 minutes to drive to the city, Norwich. So everybody can't really meet up, all four of us together. So
Sure.
what we decided to do was to have a separate WhatsApp group and to have a window shopping group.
So
Everybody
did you take
decided,
photos of
oh
everything,
yes,
and then
I
you were like,
have.
oh, I want this, I want that. Okay.
But then also at the end of the day we decided, you know what, Umi? Let's segregate the same trash to everybody. So everybody
Ah.
will have little bits of pieces of cases, Fariza's, yours, as well as Shakir. So everybody
Mm.
have bits and pieces of four of different trashes from Malaysian part. So yeah, all of us, four of us have four different collections from four different artists. So from there, only then they will just think, all right, if they want more, then they will have to decide, all right, Genevieve, can you send a little bit more of the fabric to me? So for example, in my case, I did request Caroline to send a bit more about what she didn't plan to use and send it back to me. So
Okay.
there's a little bit of exchange using the Royal Mail there.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so because I did give in a sort of the same amount to everybody, but some of them realized that they need to use a little bit more fabric. For
Right.
example, Genevieve. Yeah, so that kind of process that we were having from our side. But I'm sure you guys were having a great time, meet up for
Yeah.
of you in Casey's
Yeah,
space.
in Casey's space,
Yeah.
which eventually became the exhibition space as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm,
think we were quite lucky that we were able to meet up and then, just pick whichever that we were drawn to. So
mm,
like I said, Farida picked a little bit of everything, and then Shaki wanted some shiny things that were reflective. Casey as well wanted some crisp packaging for his
yeah.
performance piece. And then I was looking at the handwritten notes and sketches from Genevieve. So it all the rubbish found a home in eventually.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
do you have what did you have any, and during the entire residency
Mm-hmm.
period,
Mm,
what memorable anecdotes, or do you have anything that really stood out to you, personally, or it was
mm,
during the group chats or anything, like what
mm.
was your best moment?
I think for me personally, I think I somehow feel that at first we were struggling to come up with an ideation, what to do at the end of the day, what can we produce. I struggle in the first few months, like I think too much, like how do I communicate, how do I send or deliver the message, how do I create awareness, how do I give impact, how do I give everything, because I really want to showcase the best of it. But along the way, what I realized is not about the outcome. It's about the process of eight of us meeting up together, spark the conversation, sharing the information. Um, you give some facts, or you give some things that coming from your experience. I take some of it and I try to digest it, and try to relate to my exploration. Only on the third month of residency, I feel much relieved. I feel more relaxed, because only then I realized that it's not about people. It's about my exploration. What do I want to achieve? What do I want to create at the end of the day?
Yep.
Yeah, so trash is the medium, the communication tools. Um, but it's always about spark, like I said, the conversation. listening to our counterparts, their process, their struggles, and the
Yeah.
parts that they actually managed to do it successfully. So to take things slowly and try to just, take a step back and listen and try to understand, rather than just to focus on your personal outcome. So that's my key take, and that's what I learned from these residencies. And
Yeah.
especially coming from you, um, you bring these residencies very subtle, very relaxed, chill. We don't have that pressure to actually make something bombastic or something great, because we always refer back to the point of this residency is about connections, exchange.
Yeah.
How do we find the similarity or the differences, celebrate the
Yeah.
difference? So that is the key thing that I think I can think of. Yeah, so it's really, really, really a great experience, I would
Yeah.
say, and I do learn a lot. Yeah.
I can't
Mm,
agree with you more. Like, that's
mm,
definitely one of the things that I felt was a highlight for me as well. And
mm,
yeah, and to expand on that a little bit, yeah, I think the idea of that, of the outcomes for the residency, I didn't we you know I never wanted, or I tried to avoid as much as possible to call it a final outcome or a finished
yeah.
artwork, because I think it is our hope that that through the residency, the artists are able to produce an outcome, whether it is finished or not. Because even if it's unfinished, there is hope to continue it after the
Yeah.
residency. So there is still
Yeah.
longevity, and it is something that hopefully the artist will be able to take away and continue to work on. And I
Mm,
think from our last meeting with all the artists, the one that we had yesterday, most if not all of them were very enthusiastic in wanting to continue whatever that they have explored
yeah.
during the residency, which I thought was
Yeah.
a very beautiful thing to hear. For I think for us as organizers, that is something that we would love to hear. And we know it's not lip service, we know it's something that's very genuine coming from them,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was great. And
Mm,
yeah, I think for me, like, the highlight of it was definitely the conversations that we've had, but
yeah.
also it was such an eye-opening experience to be able to listen to how each of us were so varied in our disciplines, and just
Yeah.
how different our processes are and our ways of thinking. um,
Mm,
we all have this one topic that we're working on, which is
mm.
trash, rubbish, but all of us are tackling it from different angles, and
Different angle.
so many different ideas coming in. It was really, I think that was really incredible to just sit back and listen to the whole conversation
Yeah.
unfold and
Yeah.
hear how they talk, how each artist shares their viewpoint. um, if the Zoom sessions weren't so long, I would encourage everyone to watch it. But I
Mm-hmm.
think I think people would be quite bored to listen to us, all our
Yeah.
meetings. But they were so, to me, I think that was the highlight. That was
Mm,
definitely the highlight of the
mm,
residency.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agree.
Okay. So
Yeah.
on the opposite side, did you have any challenges? Did you have any, what's the downside? Did you have any negative experiences? Or, if you had a
Yeah.
chance,
Yeah.
what would you have improved on, now that we can
Hmm.
look back and see it and say, if
Mm.
only we had done dot dot dot.
Well, to be honest, I've never done any residency before. This is my first time, and I do put expectation,
Mhm.
uh, but also I had to also learn that I can't put too high expectation, because I'm the type of person, if I put too high expectation, if I don't meet that expectation, I'll be disappointed.
Yep.
So maybe what I can say to improve, I don't know. I think I can't compare because I've never done residency before. This is
Mm-hmm.
my first time having 8 of us together, a different culture for Malaysia, for UK,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it's a new experience. Um, every Zoom session, look forward to meet all 8 of us. I
Yeah.
just can't wait to listen to everyone's point of view, their stories. Um, wish we can. I don't know, my personal point of view. I wish we could meet at the end of this residency or during this residency. We could meet
Yeah.
up 8 of us
Mm-hmm.
and have a look, real look, closer look at everyone's outcome,
Yeah.
everyone's artwork. Yeah. Other than that, I think I can't. There's nothing to complain. I think I really enjoy. I enjoy
Oh,
this
that's great. That's
experience.
great to hear.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what about you? What do you think?
Um, I feel like maybe in hindsight, now that we can look back at it,
Mm,
I feel that perhaps what I would have liked to improve on is being prepared to more prepared for ahead. So
mm,
in terms of planning and organize, and I'm speaking of from like the planning and organization of the residency, I feel like there
mm,
were times when I could have been a little bit more um, one step ahead in terms of
mm,
planning for social media posts or
mm,
updating certain things or informing people about things that are
mm,
happening.
mm,
I feel like that could have been improved on because if it was a little bit better, maybe we could have reached a wider audience. Again,
mm,
that's just a speculation. Um,
mm,
but then moving
mm,
forward, I feel like that is something that we could definitely improve on.
mm, mm,
So
mm,
yeah, but the residency on its own and even the exhibition on its own, I feel like I everything went as well as we could have hoped for in this time and
mm,
with the abilities that we had. So I'm
mm,
just really proud of all of us
mm,
that we all
mm,
came in together and worked together to
mm.
make it happen. So yeah.
Okay. On the side note, do you think well, I maybe I agree with your point.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think if you were given a chance to do this again, do you think the best way to reach more audience is by having extra budget for marketing purpose? Like we
Maybe,
spend on, yeah?
maybe,
Mm,
maybe. Because I think with this residency and I'm not sure whether it's a little bit too naive of me that I was
mm,
hoping
mm,
for a more organic development for people to take an
mm,
interest organically and
mm.
for it to reach the audience through people being genuinely interested in our conversations.
Okay.
Um, but then when I think about it, we could have put in a little bit more work into promoting ourselves and making our voice heard because there's just so
Mm,
much noise online these days. Everybody wants to be
that's
heard
true.
at some point.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you're right,
yeah.
you're right. I think if we had some budget for marketing, or if we had set aside some budget for marketing, that would have been quite beneficial, I think.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that it was also because it's always nice to reach out. Um, you know, it could be 1 plus 1, it can be 3,
Yeah.
because I can always do what I can, and you can always could. So if there's a third party, or for example, if you can reach out to you know, somebody who could help us in doing that, be great. Because coming from my side, yeah, now that we're speaking about it, what I realize is I've actually sent requests for the exhibition starting from early of January,
Mm-hmm.
but I struggle to even get reply or response
Yeah.
from every gallery. In
Yeah.
fact, I do not intend to exhibit our work in the gallery because I feel that gallery is very secluded, like um it's very you know, like
Very
inbox, like you have to
formal.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
I think
we are,
there's a connotation already. People assume
yeah.
certain things when work is being shown in a gallery.
Mm,
So
mm.
yeah,
It's very
I know what you
stiff.
mean.
That's how I
Mm.
feel. I really, really looking forward to actually do this exhibition in the public.
Yeah.
So I did approach the community park, um, and I did also approach the what do you call that? The local markets. We have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of like a garage sale.
Boot sale.
Yeah, like a car boot sale.
Right.
So I
Okay.
thought it's best to have our show rather than people come to the gallery, we go to public. But
That's a great idea.
unfortunately, it can't be happen during this difficulty time because of
Mm-hmm.
the, you know,
The big
the
C.
SOPs, yeah,
Mm.
the risk that we have to handle.
Yeah.
Uh, so I only managed to get in contact with the gallery that we exhibited, which was Antaros Foundation, at the really, really last minute.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't really also help us because it was a very, very last minute, you know, collaboration.
Yep.
So they can only publish our posters via their platform.
Sure.
So yeah, I think, like you said, if we were given how to improve this, maybe in terms of reaching out to the people, we could
Mm-hmm.
have done this better and we could get more um, people have a
Yep.
look or come over to our show.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's definitely something that we can work on in the
Mm,
next what you know, however next trash treasure takes on, right?
mm, mm,
Whatever shape or form that it takes on, which I
yeah.
think leads us to quite nicely our final question. You know,
Mm,
what's next for trash and treasure now that we've
mm,
done this? Um, what do you think, Umi? Because you know you have your creative practice, I have my
mm,
creative practice, and
mm,
we've managed to
mm.
come together and build this the beginnings of a community with ourselves and
Yeah,
six other
yeah,
artists. Um, do you think that we would be able to continue Trash Treasure? Because there's actually quite a lot of interest in it. A lot of people are
yeah,
quite interested in seeing a second
yeah.
installment.
I
What do
say,
you think?
I would say I love to let it, I mean, grow organically because this is something that we can't force people to practice or to understand.
Sure.
Uh, but it started within eight of us, and we do spark the invitation, the awareness, and the conversation. But along the way, what I realized, even we didn't manage to have or to expand the network, the there's a few newspaper actually came and approached
Mm-hmm.
you and had interviews,
Yep.
and there's also journalists came over to artists, I mean to Norwich, to also interview me and speak about our trash treasure project.
Yep.
I would definitely say give it a time, let it grow organically,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time add more content, add more conversation.
Yep.
um, yeah, I'm sure we will definitely create
Mm-hmm.
more interest.
I
More
think I
people might,
yeah, and
yeah,
I think I for one am quite interested to see if we can bring even more varied artists in. You know,
mm,
what if we brought in performance artists or you know
mm,
people who are completely
mm,
work like Shaki, if people who don't work with physical materials, you know,
mm,
what would they
mm,
do? You know, I
yeah,
would be quite interested to see not even visual artists. What if they were
yeah,
poets or playwrights or even
yeah,
writers? You know,
yeah, yeah,
how would they um how would they keep that conversation going? So
true.
yeah, I
Well, to
totally
also,
agree with you.
yeah, to also extend this, like I do have few inquiries in terms of artwork purchased,
Sure.
but I mean, we don't sell it during the exhibition, definitely.
Yeah.
But people do came and ask me, is this artwork for sale? And I just thought, yeah, it is possible to have like a thematic, like a pop-up, um, what do you call it, a bazaar or something, but within a context of trash. And we recreate trash materials and we make a product out of it. We give a second life to trash.
Definitely.
So there's a lot of possibility you can actually extend in context of trash treasure. And we did come up with a very unique name, very interesting name, catchy name,
Very apt
simple
name,
to
I think.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, simple to remember. And we can always extend it or make it TT 2.0 perhaps.
Yeah. Definitely. So I think we can both agree that this residency was just the beginning for Trash
Yeah,
Treasure, and there
yeah,
in some way or another we'll probably be coming back with a second installment,
yeah,
and hopefully the next one will be able to see the artists meeting physically, maybe even physically exchanging
yeah,
the trash with one another,
yeah.
and having a workshop, a whole day of creating and making things together.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Personally, as an artist, as a maker myself, I do think that I should be extending and pursuing my relationship with waste further.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy exploring this new material,
Yep.
and there's a lot of passion that I can also, create awareness.
Yep.
Not rather just making craft, but there's a story that I can unfold during my creations.
Yep.
So my next step, personally, I will definitely work with my waste material. Currently, I've already done and touch base on tea bags. Uh, but moving forward, I will definitely read further about other waste material and find the possibility how natural dyes, natural pigments can work with other waste material.
Yep.
There's a lot of potential I can see. I'm very excited to work on my next exhibition. I've already looked for grant, other opportunity, open call studios, whoever
It's
that
great.
have the same similarity as me, or maybe could be something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I'm curious. What about you? I mean, like we have this conversation before. Like you've
Yep.
never thought of using trash as part of
Exactly.
your
I've never
artwork creation. Yeah.
I've never thought about using waste material. You know what's
Yeah.
funny? The last time I've used waste material and turned it into an art piece was back in foundation during the BA, when we had that beautiful garbage project.
Mm,
And
mm,
we worked
mm,
as a group to
mm.
look for rubbish all over the campus and then make a project out of it. Um,
It's called beautiful garbage, isn't it?
yeah, it was beautiful garbage. Yeah. So I think Trash Treasure is so much nicer. But anyway, I think working with the material that I've been exploring right now, which is paper mache clay, which
Mm,
is essentially paper pulp that has been mixed with
yeah.
glue and drywall to produce something that is quite hard and malleable.
Yeah.
Um, you know, this experiment or this residency has given me the opportunity to explore and push that material, and see where I can take it. And you gave me that idea of putting the decoupage, so using the Mod
Mm,
Podge to image transfer Genevieve sketches and notes onto the sculpture. And that was a very interesting experiment for me because paper mache clay is paper based. So when you apply some form of liquid or some form of water onto it, which is something I've never done, I had no idea what the outcome would be and whether it would work or not. So it
mm,
was a very surprising thing that it worked out quite well, and I was able
mm,
to make some new observations about how the material reacted to water. And then
mm,
the whole idea of using a waste material and using trash gave me an idea that in my next series of work, in my next body of work, I want to try shredding my old sketchbooks using that paper as that pulp in the paper mache. So that came from looking through my old sketchbooks and just seeing so many books that I want to throw, but then I don't want to throw at the same time. And really, they're just in this limbo. I don't know what to do with them. But it's such a waste if I throw it away. And you know, Trash Treasure has really inspired me to turn this trash into my next series of work. So again,
look forward.
I'm super excited for that. So I've announced that on Instagram, so I can't take it back. I have to do it already. People know my intention, so I need to deliver.
And it's been recorded.
Yes, it has been recorded now. So yeah, so you know, British Council, if you're listening in on this, you can check back with me and say, Joanne, where is that sketchbook based sculpture you were talking about? So I think that's a lot of beautiful things to look forward to. I think to conclude this session, like really, Umi, thank you so much for saying yes to being my UK counterpart for the Connections Through Culture grant. I don't think I could have asked for a better person to work with, because you were open to change, you were open to discussion, and you were, you know, very, very genuine with your responses and your guidance, I think, because I've always looked up to you as a teacher, as a lecturer, someone who's given me a lot of knowledge. So I feel like that teacher relationship will always be there. And I'm very thankful that you were able to join me on this crazy
experience. Well,
it was an
experience.
Yeah.
Thank you for thinking of me in the first place when you saw about this opening on the CTC call. I'm very honored, and I learn a lot as well, but it doesn't have to be like a teacher-student kind of relationship. It's always about exchanging information, and there's more things to learn every day, isn't it? Like, it's always new things to learn. So thank you for also educating me some certain things that I actually overlooked. And so hoping that the next time we could have the same opportunity again. And can't wait to see you in person.
Oh yes. Yes. Okay, so I think that's it for us for Trash Treasure 1.0. And well, thank you everybody for listening, and good luck, and may you be inspired to turn your trash into treasure.
And thank you, British Council, Erica,
Florence. Yes, thank you, Team British Council Malaysia.
You guys
for this
amazing
opportunity.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Definitely. I think without the grant, we would not have been able to meet all these beautiful people, to learn from them, and to create the outcomes
better ideas, better new opportunity. Definitely. That's the best thing. We actually come across to different ideas, and we make it happen. So that is the best thing. Not just about putting on papers, talk about it, but we initiate it and we make it happen.
There was an activation. So thank you, British Council, for choosing us. Okay, that's it.
All right.
That's Joanne signing off, and thank you, Umi.
All right. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, then.
Goodbye.
Have a nice day.